Hey, hi Blake. My name is Josie. I'm going to be conducting an ethnographic interview on you today for my Cultural Responsive Practices in Healthcare and Education class. It should only take about 30 minutes, and I'll just be asking you some questions about your job, AI, and how AI can affect the healthcare industry, specifically PT.
Okay, sounds good.
You ready?
I am ready.
Okay, so my first question is, can you just kind of tell me about working in a physical therapy clinic and what a typical day might look like for you?
Yeah, so working in a physical therapy clinic as my role as a tech, I basically help with the operations and help on a day-to-day basis, like everything to run smoothly. I'll maybe help with patients if they need, if there's like a double booking, I can take over for their exercises. I'll clean all the tables, make sure all our equipment stays clean and disinfected. I'll help schedule patients. I can help reschedule patients, cancel, do whatever they really need. I'll help the therapist for everything they ever need. Basically, I'm just an aid to the therapist in general.
Okay. What part of your day do you find most challenging and time consuming?
Definitely working with patients. It's different based off the patient. Sometimes it's like a very needy patient that I need to walk them through every exercise, show them multiple examples. Or there'll be some patient where they know all their exercises already and they already know how to do all of them, so I kind of just let them do their thing and I just guide them through the day. So the most challenging and time consuming part is definitely just the different types of patients I see, and then if we're busy, having to run back and forth from starting patients, scheduling them. It kind of just depends on the time of day and the patients that I see.
Okay, so does your daily routine kind of change depending on what kind of patients you see?
Yeah, definitely. There'll be some times where I can just lay back and I can talk with the patients, or I can talk with the other therapists because they already know their stuff, or I have to be very hyper attentive to that patient. But I also have to be like conscious of people that could be walking in that I need to get started with their exercises. I need to be conscious about the phones, be ready to answer those. I need to be conscious about all the other patients that are being seen. So I need to keep their stuff clean, keep the equipment put up, so we have a clean clinic in general.
Awesome. Okay, I'm gonna write all this down real fast.
Okay.
Okay, so my next question is, can you describe how technology systems are used during a specific part of the therapy session, like documenting progress or planning exercises?
Yeah, so our therapists, they keep computers at their desks and they will write down notes from every single session that we do, whether that be tracking their progress, that would be maybe updating their exercises, that would be scheduling them. We have our whole thing is digital. We take all our payments digital where we don't accept cash at our thing. So really our whole clinic runs based off technology. If our power goes out or anything like that goes out, it is a super big inconvenience, and it can throw off our whole day and our whole routine.
Okay. How long does documentation usually take after each session?
Well, it depends on the therapist. Some it depends on the therapist. Some, like, we have one of our PTAs. She really likes to put off documenting, so she'll really build the connection and actually talk to the patients in general, and then she'll wait maybe until she's home or until she's done with her last patient to document. But some, like one of our PTs, love to document during the session so they can just go home and not worry about anything. So really, it really depends. I would say each patient probably takes like 10 minutes. It really just depends on the therapist, the patient, the kind of feedback they're giving, and all that in a given session.
Do you think, in your personal opinion, it's better to wait to document until you get home so you can actually build that like personal connection with the patient?
That's a good question. I don't know. Well, I would probably say a good, happy mix of both is right where it should be. I think having a connection with your patient and building that trust is incredibly important. I think if you don't build trust with your patient, it's very likely that they're going to question you, maybe not fully buy into all their exercises that they're going to be doing at home. But, and if you wait to document until you get home, some of those details might get lost in translation. So I think it's very important to kind of do a little bit of both. I think you ultimately should prioritize your relationship with the patient, but documentation is very important for like logistics reasons, like insurance, and stuff like that. So I think it's a little bit of both, but I think the patient relationship should definitely be prioritized.
Okay. Okay. Do different patients kind of respond to technology being used during their sessions, especially like the older generation? Like, are they kind of against it, or have you noticed that at all?
I noticed it a little bit, definitely with the older patients. Since I, as a tech, don't really document or anything, a lot of them love to just talk to me and make
Mm-hmm.
connection with me. And so I have conversation with just about every patient that we'll see on a daily basis. And a couple of them do definitely express annoyance that we always have our computers around or always checking our phones for the time or checking our watches for the time. So I think it's mainly with the older generation. It's just it kind of depends on the person because a lot of them love to talk. That is a lot of their social interaction for the day is coming to PT. So they come with a whole agenda they want to talk about. So I think it's just depending on the patient on whether they really care about the technology or not.
Okay. Is there like any steps where like technology interrupts or can kind of enhance the patient interaction? Either or, could you give examples of that?
Definitely can interrupt a patient interaction. I've seen multiple things because documenting is very important, especially after about 8 visits. We do progress notes on all our patients. So basically, we ask them the same questions we asked them in their initial evaluation, and kind of just see where they are after a couple weeks. And so that session is obviously going to be very documentation heavy and needs to be very exact and specific for insurance purposes because a lot of times we have to send that progress note away to insurance to get authorization for more visits. So a lot of times they'll be trying to give progress but also talk about life. So our therapists have to really filter out what they need to hear and really focus on the documenting part for that. So sometimes I can see patients maybe getting frustrated because our therapists either aren't looks like they're not listening, but they are, but they're just
Mm-hmm.
really trying to focus on the fact that they need to document and get this right. So ultimately they can get better care in the long run.
Okay, gotcha. So I'm gonna write this down really fast. Okay, so my next question is, can you walk me through how technology is used through visits with the patient?
Yeah, so we have a new documentation system here recently called Scribe AI.
Okay, hang on. I'm gonna scribe AI.
Yes.
Okay, got it. You can keep going now. Sorry.
Okay, no, that's all good. So it has been a new technology that, what I've noticed, has kind of been more accepted worldwide, and it's been kind of going through PT clinics. And what it'll basically do is that it'll listen to the conversation, normally for initial evaluations, and it'll just listen to everything. It can almost document everything for you. And the great thing about it is it abides by all HIPAA laws as well. So as
Oh,
soon as the interview is over, the appointment's over, the whole recording gets deleted after the notes go in. Yeah, and the therapist can also just like talk to their computer and it can kind of just filter everything and pick all the important parts out. So it's been very useful. It still has its flaws for sure. Like it's not great at filtering out conversations. Like if I
mm-hmm.
were to talk to the therapist during the evaluation, or sometimes it picks up another conversation from a completely different appointment going on. So it has its flaws. It's not great, but it's definitely helpful. And what's great about it during the initial evaluation, the therapist can focus more on building a connection with the patient instead of just
Oh,
having to focus on their computer, really try to write a bunch of stuff. So it's been
okay.
very helpful for a lot of our therapists in that.
Have you used it personally?
I have not used it personally, but I have seen our therapists, and they kind of walk and they like showed me what it is. Because with the new documentation system, we had to get all our patients to sign a consent form. So they wanted me to have a
Mm.
basic understanding of what it was, so I could help like describe what it was.
So did you guys lose any patients due to the fact that you were going to start using that?
We didn't lose any patients. There were definitely some that expressed concern with it, because I mean it's a very new thing still, and it's tough. Maybe it won't. How do you know it's going to abide by HIPAA laws? And
Mm-hmm.
it was a lot of our older patients expressed doubt and concern. We didn't lose any patients to my knowledge personally, but there was a lot that didn't consent, so we can't use it for them. But
Mm.
there were a lot that liked the idea and thought it was fascinating as well. So it was kind of a mixed bag of patients of who liked it and who didn't.
Okay. How did you kind of manage taking notes and all of that before you used Scribe?
So our therapists, they would really try to listen mid-session and just write out all the stuff that they're hearing. So it really just depends on the therapist. They all have their personal way of doing things. But a lot of them would manage it where they would just try to write all the stuff down in the first 10 minutes of the session so they could focus on the patient. Or a lot of them would try to get in the last 10 minutes in the crossover between that patient and their next patient when I would kind of take over for them. So it just varies therapist to therapist. A lot of we do have one therapist in particular that still doesn't use it, the AI at all. He's very anti AI, and so the way he does notes and documentation is he'll see his patient for about 30 to 40 minutes. In the last 20 minutes, he'll usually give the patient to me, and I'll finish their session up, and then that's when he normally gets all his documentation done and stuff.
So he doesn't use Scribe, or he does?
He does not use Scribe at all.
Oh, wow. Okay, hang on, I'm gonna write that down.
Okay.
So since he is against AI, do most of the patients that didn't sign the consent form, are they given to him since he doesn't use it?
No, they still will remain seeing their therapist because we don't like patients being like feel like they're passed around.
Mm-hmm.
So normally they'll see the PT that initially evaluated them, and then they'll see one PTA typically. And we try really don't let them only see two people so they don't feel like they're just getting passed around from therapist to therapist. But we do express to the just patients like, hey, if you don't want it, it's no big deal because he doesn't really use it at all anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't feel pressured into accepting it or anything. But we have in all of their notes and in their patient profile on our system that hey, don't use Scribe when you're using this patient because they do not consent to it.
Interesting. Does it affect like their insurance at all if they use Scribe?
No, it really doesn't. The only thing that affects insurance is the amount of visits that they are given, and then if we want to get more visits, we need to write up a progress note on them.
Mm-hmm.
And so it basically says like, hey, they're really improving. I think if we get let's say 8 more visits, they'll be fully good by the end of the 8th visit. And so that's really the only insurance thing that we deal with. I mean, some insurances are definitely tougher than others to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, the Scribe doesn't have a whole big effect on it.
Okay. So can you describe a situation where technology made your job more easier or more efficient at the clinic?
Definitely. So we have our whole patient profile, which it's called clinician, and it has all our patients in there. And what's very useful about it is I can see their charts and their exercises and everything they'll do in their session or in their previous session. So what I'll normally do, let's say our next 30-minute slate is coming up, we have 3 patients. I'll open all their charts and see what first couple of exercises they're going to start on, and I'll just go ahead and start them on that when they get there. So I don't have to keep bugging the therapist about, like, hey, what am I going to do with them? So it just removes me asking them, and it just like allows the day to run smoother in general when I already know what they need to be doing instead of having to keep asking the therapist and interrupting their personal session. So it's very useful, and yeah, just technology kind of runs our whole clinic, to be completely honest.
Okay. Write that down real fast. Have there been any like downsides to using the clinician thing at all that you've seen, or no?
Not really. The clinician thing is pretty good. It's been like, I think it's a couple years old at this point, but the only problem really is a lot of times our receptionist, she'll check somebody in and it won't update, so that becomes a big problem because we need to document when they come in and to when they leave, because for billing purposes and insurance wise, it's very important to know when they walk in the door and when they leave the door.
Oh.
So that's really the only problem I've seen with clinician. A lot of times things won't transfer over. I've heard, well, we had a student come in recently. I don't know if it was the student's fault, probably was, or it was clinician's fault, but his notes weren't saving. So, I mean, we noticed that, but I mean, he was the only one having problems with it. So I think it might have just been him not really knowing how to use it and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I mean, clinician's usually pretty good. It's time tested, so I mean, it works and functions pretty well.
Do a lot of other therapy clinics use clinicians?
I'm not too sure. I know all the Red Bud clinics do, and what's great about that is sometimes a Red Bud's were like in Claremore. Let's say we have a Claremore location, their receptionist will be out, and all their phone calls will be directed towards our clinic. So I can access the Red Bud and Claremore's schedule, and if I need to delete an appointment or something like that, or a receptionist. So it's very useful because we can see other clinic schedules if we really have to. So I'm not sure. I can't speak for other clinics, but I do know every Red Bud location uses it, and it's pretty effective.
Do all Red Bud locations use Scribe too?
Yes, to my knowledge, it's been a clinic wide thing. There was a big training that went out, and based off what I've gotten from our therapist, it's kind of a mixed bag of reactions.
Mm-hmm.
How when our clinic director Courtney, she likes it. It's kind of been, as she uses it more, she started to like it a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Same with our two PTAs. Like the more you like it, the more you get used to it, the better like the performance is. But yeah, I don't know much about what the other therapists think about it, but I do know it's a clinic wide thing, and we have multiple locations across Oklahoma. So I know there's at least a bunch of clinics in Oklahoma using it.
So with the therapist that didn't want to use it, did he, like, was there any repercussions for him at all?
No, there wasn't. I mean, at the end of the day, he's still a practicing doctor, so there's not a whole lot they can tell him. I mean, he'll find a job anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, they told him to do the training. He said, "Hey, I'm not going to use it. I like how I'm doing it right now." And I mean, he's a fantastic therapist. He has very specialized knowledge as well, so that makes him incredibly valuable in our field.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, nothing really ended up happening. I mean, they wanted him to go ahead and do the training, so I don't know if he went ahead and did it, but I know for a fact that he does not use it at all.
Can you give me an example when you saw it negatively affect healthcare in your clinic?
There was one time we had a patient come in, and I think it was might have been a shoulder patient, and they came in for their initial evaluation, and Courtney, or might have been someone else, was evaluating them and using the Scribe technology, but so they still pay attention in case it messes up, but I guess Scribe caught one of our PTA's conversations with their patient because they were on the table next to them, and it just threw off Scribe so bad, and it like messed the whole evaluation up. Luckily, obviously, she's still very smart, so she was able to get all the evaluation, all the stuff documented she needed. But it was very annoying for her, and it was a hassle because it's still not great at like deciphering conversations between therapists and stuff. So that has been one that probably affected it. But on a day-to-day basis, I won't say it negatively affects a whole lot.
you think there should be any like rules in place to prevent that from happening, or
Yeah, so when we see our PTs doing an eval, we really try to stay away from them and give them their space. We try not to talk to them, but sometimes I mean we're just like if I'm having a conversation with one of the PTAs, like our PT will just jump in and just like add something, but like we'll stop cleaning usually when they're in their evaluation. So I mean we try our best not to distract them because I mean it is a hard diagnosing process. I mean there's a lot of unknown factors. They have to do a lot of incredibly special testing that requires a lot of special knowledge. So I mean their brain is working a lot during initial evaluations. So we really try to give them their space and just let them do them. But sometimes I mean, or if I'm working, let's say they hand off their patient to me and it's like 10 minutes, they still need like a couple more exercises I have to ask them. I can't just come up with them on my own. So, I mean, we do the best we can, but sometimes, I mean, we just have to interrupt them, and at the end of the day, it will just pick it up. So, it's just a tough situation.
okay? Can you tell me about a time when technology helped you adjust or change a patient's treatment plan?
Um, yeah, so one thing is, I mean, with all our therapists, when they can track and they'll see like, hey, they've gotten a lot stronger. So let's give them harder exercises now. So they'll test their strength. Let's say their initial evaluation was like a 2 out of 5, and their let's say it's their left leg strength. Okay, now in their progress note it was more like a 3 or 4 out of 5. So now we can start maybe doing some squats with them. We can increase and do more dynamic exercises to ultimately increase their rehabilitation chances. So as we track progress through all our technology and our notes and our documentation system, we can see, hey, all right, they're definitely ready for some tougher exercises. We can start doing more with them. Yeah, trying harder stuff. So I mean, in general, yeah, it helps a lot in our tracking abilities.
How do the patients respond to that change in their treatment plan?
A lot of them love their routines, is what I've noticed. So the second I'll introduce a new exercise to a patient, they'll look at me funny, and it always makes me laugh. But a lot of them love the whole seeing themselves get stronger. Like we had a patient come in probably about like August or September, broke his patella, which is your kneecap, and he couldn't walk. He was fully wheelchair bound, couldn't get in and out of the car. Like I had to help him get out of his car, and now he's literally walking into our clinic, and he's been telling me how much he loves seeing how much he's getting better on a day to day basis. So I mean, it depends on the patient. A lot of them, when I'll introduce a new um, exercise, look very skeptical, and after they try it, a lot of times they like it. Sometimes it'll hurt or it'll increase their pain a slight bit. So they say I don't like it, but I'm like, hey, just give it a chance. So a lot of them, it just depends on the patient. Normally, in the long run, they ended up liking it because they know it helps their rehabilitation chances.
Mm-hmm. Do you think there are any other like tasks or responsibilities in the physical therapy clinic that AI could possibly help with besides documentation?
I think there's a future in the road where I think this is down the road that it will help with scheduling patients. I think we are heading to a place of society where you will call our clinic and something AI will answer and it'll ask questions. I think that there's a chance that happens maybe within the next year, maybe a year or two. But the thing is with AI, they can't answer human questions. They can't, like, let's say someone cancels because a family member died.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then our AI system will be like, you have one cancellation left before we have to discharge you.
Rather
But
than having
rather than if I answer it, I have sympathy and like, hey, I'm just going to delete it so it won't go on your record. So it depends. It would have to be something where it's like AI will answer the phone and schedule, but I can go over the phone call or I can call him back and be like, hey, don't worry about it. But I think there is a down the road. What AI could definitely help with is we receive incredibly long referrals from insurance.
Mhm.
And our receptionist, she complains about it because they are tough to decipher. So I think there's a road where we can definitely plug that referral into an AI system, and it
Mhm.
kind of just spits out the information we need. Because it's normally plenty of pages long, but there's only about maybe a page, page and a half of stuff you actually need.
Mhm.
So that would be something that would incredibly enhance our lives and make it incredibly easier. So I think that the insurance one is in the very near future, and I think the answering the phone calls and stuff like that is more in the further future. But I do think there's a road where that will happen.
So you were saying it could help with deciphering the insurance?
Yes.
What impact do you think AI could have on the relationship between physical therapists and patients?
That is a great question. First off, that has actually been controversial. What I've seen based off like social media posts, a lot of people think that the scribe, because it is more of a nationwide thing, is gonna just be an excuse for people to pack their schedules more, bill out more, and stuff like that. So I think there's a chance when it used correctly, it can greatly enhance the patient to therapist relationship. I think it can greatly enhance it because we don't have to spend time at our computers. We can just bring it around and really talk and get to know them. But I think in some like corporate PT settings and stuff like that that are run like very for profit or just trying to get people in and out of the door, I
Mhm.
think it does give therapists an excuse to like, hey, let's just double book more often now because we don't have to document. And I think that's a very scary road. I don't think it's something. I think it's best. The care is best. I've noticed, especially when they really trust you and they have a great connection with you.
Mhm.
So it depends on the therapist. If the therapist is a great therapist and really loves building connection and use it correctly, I think it'll be great. But if it's more of a and they're getting pressured by their boss or like a regional clinic director comes in and is like, hey, you don't have the document anymore, pack your schedule. I think that can really have a negative effect. So I think it depends on the clinic you go to and the setting it is and really the type of therapist you get. But I think for the most part, most therapists won't just pack their schedules, but there'll definitely be some that will use that as an excuse just to bill out more so they can get more money.
Okay. Well, awesome, Blake. Thank you for letting me interview you today.
Yeah, of course.
And yeah, that's all I have for you.
All right, well, thank you.
Thanks so much.